The KELLYS F100 has gone through a massive personality change with the uptake from Shimano on the EP801 motor. Big changes. This is amazing news for riders, but this bike is more than just power. It's got a ton of fuel in the tank and weighs just over 20 kgs, making it one of the lightest, longest range, higher power EMTBs in the world. And I've been tasked with just how far I can actually ride it. Easy enough. Ah yes, but without the comforts of a hotel. Well, that's easy too, because Gallivant Campers have lent me this amazing vehicle for a truly off-grid adventure. The aim is to see what are the realities of long range, ludicrous power and lightweight. Is the future already here? We've come to mid-Wales, mountainous, rugged, untouched, raw, to venture further into the wilderness. Not a place then for a regular MTB. Not a place for a regular EMTB. No, we need big power, long range and low weight. And here's my machine for this riding adventure, the KELLYS F100. As Rich found out on his recent Rip trip, this is a great all-rounder on paper. Mid-travel, that's a decent weight, good power and with a long range. The numbers then, 20.6 kg, 150, 140 travel. We've got the new Shimano EP801 with that monumental uptake. We've got mixed wheel size, 29er up front and 275 in the rear. We've upgraded with some very chunky, sticky rubber. The other big thing about this bike is the battery. KELLYS K1 battery. It's their own battery and they say it's got the densest energy of any battery out there. And the watt hours are 825 watt hours. KELLYS are saying this bike is for riding wherever you want, for as long as you want, to discover new places that you just can't reach on a regular mountain bike. We like. We're here to investigate the credibility of those range claims with an incredibly difficult ask of me and the bike. But what do we know of KELLYS? The Slovakian brand really knows a thing or two about pushing the envelope. They've created really special bikes with well thought out details that deliver on spec and on performance. They've introduced some pretty high-end manufacturing techniques too. For example, the big hitting F90 with its thermoplastic hybrid steel carbon composite 170, 180mm bike. And Steve's also been riding the shorter travel R60 with a Panasonic motor and robot welded aluminium frame. So 825 watt hours. That's a big battery with a potential long range. And welcome to my home. It's pretty bougie, really. We've got a gorgeous double bed up there. We've got ensuite shower and toilet facilities. Everything that you might need. Beautiful Belfast sink. We've got the kettle on. We've got it all. Ooh, and excitingly, we've got a e-bike charging station around the back. So yeah, I'll just just give me a minute. I'll get out my PJs. So what's great about this van and the way it's been customised is that we've got this tray built into the back, and that means that all three bikes, I mean you might be able to squeeze a fourth in, but these are pretty big burly bikes, can all sit on the tray. They've got a fork mount on the front and on the rear, and they're all attached to the bed, so they're all stable and secure, and that bed just slides right out, so it's really easy to access. It's really easy to plug them into charge overnight. From this off-grid adventure van, we've planned a big loop out from Machynlleth to hunt down a remote slab of mid-Wales, somewhere you'd struggle to cross, somewhere to test metal and carbon, somewhere over the horizon. It's going to be a big mountain loop, which is good because KELLYS reckon this is the lightest full power EMTB on the market. And actually when you're crossing a big mountain, it's having that extra capacity in the battery, that really long range ability that will really make a difference. But I need to get fuel too, so I need to check my pack. It's got tubes, it's got spares, essentially it's got food because I'll need fueling as well as the bike. Before we head off on this endeavour, which is, well, all about trying to find out how far I can go on this bike. Well, we need to comment on all the different variables that make a massive difference to that range and to that outcome. And there's a lot of things to discuss. There's so many variables. You know what? Let's just crack on. We'll come back to this later. Cutthorpe is just behind us, and now ahead of me, all I can see is incredible mountains. It's going to be a big day today. Working hard already. It's going to be a long day. Right, we're now in Fernia, some kind of fern land. I think we might have to check out each other for ticks. Definitely. This is magic. Oh, well, Garmin says that we're off up that way. Not quite sure which valley, but I'm sure the Garmin will tell us, which is good. But it is gorgeous weather here and incredible scenery. Wales never fails. We are on a nice bit of slatey double track. Feels like one of those things where often power is talked about a lot. But I'm really starting to get to grips with why having this nice torquey motor helps a lot on a steep climb like this. Oh god, it's just gotten a lot steeper. Oh, it's high. All back into loose stuff. I need to concentrate. This loose stuff, I'm really enjoying the EP801 feel. Feels really natural under pedaling load here. It seems to sort of reduce power when you start to get too spinny, but it helps with traction so much. We've done a 12k climb. I didn't think we'd have 12k climbs in the UK, but I'd forgotten about Wales. Wales is Burley. The last climb was the toughest climb I've ever done. On the EMTB, it was awesome. Like, I really had to trust the bike, trust the traction, and trust the, well, full power. It's my kind of real first experience of full power without being coached by Jonesy on a climb, and such a big climb. It was good, really good. Next 20k is more rolling terrain, hopefully some downhill, but the weather doesn't look the best. Yeah. Time to chat about the finer points of this bike before it's covered. Well, we've got it mucky, but I think you'll agree it's a fine looking bike. And you can see the carbon aramid frame construction that's designed and made in Europe. The finish of this bike is bang on. I think it's a really striking looking design. It's got some great features too. We've got this really low standover height, so it's easy to move around on the bike. Got a slack head angle too, so it's nice and stable on downhills, and a steepish seat angle, which is really good for climbing. And the detailing is good too. We've got frame protection in loads of places. We've got really neat and user-friendly cable routing and clever details, attention to details. They've rotated the motor here so you can actually get the battery out with just one bolt on the other side. Clever stuff. This mid-travel bike is laced with components for the task at hand, and that's to meet a 20 kg weight target. They've achieved this by developing batteries with the highest capacity for weight ratio possible. On because we're actually behind schedule, even with all this power. Oh, river crossing. Oh, geez. Yeah, where was it? Right, yeah, we're trying to crack on. Every time we kind of come to a little section and we kind of come over around the hill, we've got another amazing view. We just want to film it. Right, gears up. I'm going to try mode 4, which you know has got a bit more overrun. Wish me luck. Oh, bogged but just. There's 3 things that I've got to talk to you about higher torqued e-bikes such as this. Yes, there's a few EMTBs that are slightly lighter than this, and it's only slightly. Many of these lighter bikes achieve it by having much smaller, less powerful motors and smaller batteries. However, remember, the KELLYS F100 has it all, being full power, big battery at a low weight. They're fantastic tools for certain styles of riding. Trail centres, flowing single track, even bike parks, but also forest trails as well. But these e-bikes do have certain issues. If you're a larger rider on one of these lighter weight e-bikes, you are going to struggle. You are going to have to use higher power modes, eating more battery. Often the offset of a very light motor is that you might have to run a range extender for extra battery life. And all of these things combined mean that in a big terrain like this in Wales, for these big adventures, you just don't have the range, so they're not suitable for all situations. Okay, this might look like a grassy field, but I can attest you, it is not. And each pedal stroke is a wonderful surprise of either hub deep mud or mud or bog. It's engaging, it's physically taxing ride. This is really hard work. Oh God. But it is stunning. An untouched landscape. I feel like I'm saying it's untouched, but essentially it was covered in trees and we've chopped them down, but I'm not an expert. After a heavy deluge the previous night, the ground was saturated and slow under the tyres. We were now completely indulging in the off-grid experience, off the grid of the waypoint track, with no bridle way in sight, off the grid of any phone signal, and tonight's sleep? Yep. Off the grid camping with no hookup charging. Thankfully, with this van, we can still charge the bikes though. Yeah, some sections of the route are, let's say, a little bit eroded. We're not riding them to prevent further damage, but we still have to get across. It's an engaging ride. Oh God.
Nicely done. When was the last time you saw a human being?
That wasn't you. I started to sort of hallucinate, I think, as we were coming down before we got to the Bog of Doom. That's not its official name. I think I thought I saw some people on a fire road because I was dreaming that there was a beautiful fire road along here and possibly an ice cream van. I've not seen the ice cream van or any more people. So probably the farmer on the quad bike with his wife. I mean, I assume it was his wife. Let's say farmhand. Okay, this is a technical delight. You can see some bigger bikes have come through here. I'm just going to try and channel my inner. Oh, how slippy is that? Pretty slick. We've got oil on there. Right, now we've got the really fun bit. One dab, one wet foot, but we're through. Now the climb comes. Oh, that is really hard. We're 7 hours into the ride. Okay, some of that's with filming, so that's why we've only done 31 Ks. But that last section, I would say almost, maybe it's 6K, was the draggiest terrain that I think I've ever been on any bike. Thankfully though, the humongous battery that this F100 has means that even though I've been toggling on some of the climbs, I've been a bit cheeky, I've been toggling between setting 3 and setting 4, so getting a lot more help. I've still got over half a battery left, which for this terrain, and yeah, they're kind of like, we've done 1,000 meters of climbing already, I'm really impressed. Right, we're getting to the sharp end now. It's probably about time to talk about battery life. A lot of things can impact battery life and your range as well. Some of that will be, well, what mode you're riding in, how aggressive you are, some of your cadence will impact it as well. And also the shape and feel of the terrain you're riding. You could do 100 kilometers with only 1,000 meters of climbing, or your range could be 25 kilometers but with 3,000 meters of climbing. It's not just the sort of the height and altitude as well, it's also the dragginess of the terrain. Some of these upland bogs that we've been going through today have been exceptionally draggy, and by that I mean, well, just using lots and lots of watts from me and the bike. The other thing obviously is also, well, tyres. We've done a video fairly recently all about how different tyres are going to roll differently, and their hysteresis and their sort of inertia, for want of a better word, also mean that they're going to change how they ride and how much range you'll have. These sticky, draggy, wonderful Pirelli DH tyres that were on this bike are incredibly grippy. They're really soft compound and they've got a really supportive carcass. A tyre with a lower profile tread, maybe a slightly harder compound and definitely smaller tread, smaller knobs, would roll quicker and thus boost your range. There's other factors too. Me at my racing prime, if I'm lucky and I watch what I eat, I could get down to, I reckon, maybe 65 kgs. And Jonesy is a little bit more manly than me at 95. It's gonna affect your range. So we're doing this huge epic adventure with this amazing battery on this bike, but range is gonna depend a lot on you and how you ride. We traverse 63 k's of rugged mountainous terrain, a tough route with 2,000 meters of climbing, a route with almost all terrains from steep slate climbs, rough rocky slab descents, wet and boggy moorland, coming back to a warm shower and a cosy bed of this off-grid adventure van is all the more enticing. The ability of this bike is staggering. What we fell short of on this ride was only daylight. Yes, 63 k's and 3 bars of battery left in the tank. Whilst on the same bike, Steve did a physical 41 kilometers, 1,700 meter vertical ride with assistance to the max, with overrun to the max, with soft compound tyres, ridden entirely in boost. He finished with fuel in the tank. Impressive. KELLYS is making a statement, for sure. KELLYS have consciously taken a very different approach to this lightweight bike. Many other brands have taken the approach of fitting a lower torque motor, which is lighter and therefore sort of needs, in theory, less fuel. Problem is, if you want to go on a longer ride, you're then stuck with having a range extender. So how have KELLYS done it with this bike? Well, we've got a really strong motor. I mean, that was apparent on the climbs. And how to get it lightweight? How have KELLYS done it? Well, they've gone to a hypercar manufacturer to source a brand new frame material. So this is a carbon fibre and aramid frame, and it makes a really lightweight frame. This whole bike is just over 20 kgs. I think it's amazing. So earlier I posed the question, is the future here? This is a long range, full power, lightweight mountain bike. And I've got to say, I think the future is here. If your future involves really big days out in amazing terrain, like we've got here in mid-Wales, well, yeah, the full power is really great. You can really feel the difference on the climbs. And I say power, it's not so much about wattage, it's more about that torque and having that grunt to help you. Also the range. I think some of the rides we've done here have been, well, huge. You know, I think some people would dub them as either multi-day events or like a gravel long distance ultra. But with an e-bike like this, with a high capacity battery, it is doable. It's just sort of your own body that's more likely to break down than the bike. So, is it the future? For me, the future looks really bright with a bike like this. Right, talking about immediate future, I need to shower.